Welcome to European Railway, the video magazine for the continental enthusiast. In this issue we travel to Portugal and view rail operations through Ermesinde, just to the north of Porto. Diesel and electric action is witnessed around St.Germain-des-Fossés, a view of a Hungarian narrow gauge railway under threat of closure. A trip to Germany to view diesel action on the branch line out of Boppard. Activity is seen on the Austrian westbound main line around the city of Linz. And finally, a look at the Belgian main line linking Liège with Namur. The city of Porto is situated in the north of the country and lies on the mouth of the River Douro, at the point where it meets the Atlantic Ocean. To the northeast of the city is the town of Ermesinde, a commuter town with a population of around 45,000 people. The station here is a modern structure and lies on the junction of rail routes to the Douro Valley and northwards to Valencia and the Spanish border. It also serves the industrial areas to the north of Porto, as well as being situated on the main commuter lines to the north and the east. Our first scene is taken looking north as a Class 3-400 electric unit built by a consortium headed by the German firm Siemens arrives with one of the regular suburban services for Porto on Tuesday 10th of July 2007. Departing in the opposite direction is a pair of units headed by number 3410. A total of 34 were delivered between 2002 and 2004, and they are based on the popular Desiro type, which can be found working throughout the UK and Germany, for example. As already mentioned, the station is a spectacular modern design, resembling to some extent the much bigger station at Lisbon Oriente. Departing in this view is English Electric Design Class 1400, number 1455, seen heading the 726 from Porto to Pacinho. Apart from some freight, the class are now only found on occasional passenger trains in this area, working services on the Douro Valley line. The leading loco here is one of the few remaining Class 2550 electric locos dating from between 1963 and 1964. 20 were built, of which 18 still survive today, with 13 still being in traffic. The second loco is even older, dating from between 1956 and 1957. This is a similar class to the 2550s, but designated Class 2500. Originally, there were 15 in the class, but today just 6 examples remain in operation. Finally, from 2002 comes this view of a 1400 climbing away from Porto up the incline towards Rio Tinto. Class 450 two-car diesel units work local services around Porto, especially to the north and east of the city. A total of 19 units were built as Class 400 in 1965 and 1966, before becoming Class 450 after a refurbishment programme which began in 1997. This unit begins the climb out of the station with the 7:30 service from Regua. Class 4000 Pendolino tilting trains are also seen here, although in small numbers. This one heads for Braga. Class 600 diesel units date from 1978 and are notable for their stainless steel ribbed bodies, a design common to a number of rail vehicles in Portugal. Here number 0606 works the 752 from Penafiel. Finally, numbers 2506 and 2568 leave the town with a set of empties at just after 10 AM on Tuesday 10th of July 2007. St.Germain-des-Fossés is situated to the north of Vichy and forms a junction with main lines linking Clermont-Ferrand, Bourges and Lyon. The line is electrified, it being on the through route between Paris and Clermont-Ferrand. However, there are a significant amount of diesel hauled working through here on the route between Lyon and Tours. We begin on Monday 12th of May 2003 as dual voltage BB 22200 number 22343 arrives with the 847 from Paris. This train conveys through coaches via Musard to the southern French town of Béziers. Diesel services on the route between Lyon and Tours are often headed by the popular CC 72000 locos. Here, 72067 arrives with the 713 from Grenoble to Nantes. A good number of these locomotives have now either been withdrawn or re-engined for use on the line between Paris and Mulhouse. There is also a reasonable amount of freight in the area, with the main station sidings being used to stage and sort various services including a number of local trip workings. Here 72057 arrives after taking a freight down the branch to Puy-Galon.
gare SNCF. Madame, monsieur, nous vous rappelons que pour être valable, les billets que vous avez achetés doivent être contestés en gare.
Just to the north of the station is an overbridge, which offers a good view of the line, although it is probably best suited for video work than photography, or indeed general observation. Here, an X73-500 single-car diesel unit departs north with a service for Moulins-sur-Allier on Tuesday 18th of July 2006. Seen arriving from the south is 67501 with this tank train. This will recess here in the yard before it leaves later, forming train number 85921, the 2019 to Lyon-Siblin yard. Including both freight and passenger workings, you can expect between 4 and 6 movements here each hour, particularly in the early morning, the lunchtime, and the evening time periods. On the line east of the town and under a threatening sky, number 72074 climbs the grade with the 1509 from Nantes to Lyon. Finally, BB 67506 and 551 head train 85921 to Lyon, just past the village of Soulier. In May 2006, the Hungarian Socialist government announced plans to close 28 branch lines throughout the country, including a number of narrow gauge routes. Although the plans were eventually scaled back, 14 lines eventually closed in March this year, even after frantic lobbying by protesters and opposition groups. In this section, we take a look at operations on one of the remaining narrow gauge routes in the south of the country, between Kecskemét and Kecskemét. The line through Kecskemét was completed in 1928 and came about because of the intense forestry and fruit farming that took place in this flat, fertile plain area. Today the line hangs by a thread, with just 3 return workings per day over the 52-kilometre route. Its future may well lie with attracting tourists to the nearby national park, almost certainly using the line's sole surviving preserved steam locomotive. At Kecskemét, number 2013 is seen running around its train. Here, there is a cross-track access to the main standard gauge network. At the other end, at Kecskemét, is the main motor power depot. Here, MK48-2030 is involved in shunting stock between services. It appears that this track car, originally used for dignitaries, may well have died on the spot, after pulling an MK48 diesel off its bogies. The depot houses a varied crop of narrow gauge stock, including many redundant MK48s. Star of the show, though, is the operational steam loco number 490053, which may ultimately be the only reason that the line may stay open in the future as a tourist attraction. Finally, our last 2 scenes show the line in current operation. Only time will tell if this fascinating piece of railway history continues to survive in a country undergoing rapid economic change. Let's hope so. The branch which runs out of the Rhine Valley at Boppard is arguably one of the steepest operated on the German standard gauge network, with gradients as steep as 1 in 16, and is today more commonly known as the Hunsbruckbahn. The line's starting point at Boppard is situated next to the River Rhine, where 2 main lines run either side of the river. Overlooking the town on Sunday 9th of July 2006, we see a variety of boat traffic going about their business as the river dominates the scene as it meanders its way through the Rhine Gorge in this hugely popular tourist location. Here the hills rise to altitudes of over 500 metres above the river, and it is these that the branch to Emmelshausen has to climb over. On the eastern side of the river, this Class 110 electric heads north with a semi-fast service towards Koblenz. The train is seen passing through the small town of Filzen, which is just across the river from Boppard. Class 66 diesel, number 66020, used by the company Rail for Chem, heads south along the west bank of the Rhine towards Boppard. The line up to Emmelshausen is currently worked by Class 218 diesels, hauling just 2 coaches. This is because of the severity of the gradient, where it was found that diesel units could not cope with the stiff climb, often through lack of adhesion. Number 218-217 departs Boppard. Trains run hourly, with many of the intermediate stations being request stops only. The first and last train of the day run to and from Koblenz, allowing the loco and stock to change over. The line is very popular with tourists and locals alike, who travel up from Boppard with their cycles before enjoying the spectacular views over the River Rhine, and of course the virtually free-wheeling trip back down of nearly 10 kilometres. Finally, after a 30-minute trip down from Emmelshausen, number 218217 coasts down towards the town of Boppard. This line is well worth a trip should you find yourself in the area. The Westbahn is today used to describe the routes of the original Austrian Western Railway, which once operated from Vienna to Linz and onwards to Salzburg. The route was built between 1856 and 1861 and today forms one of the busiest mainline railways to be found in Austria. Work began to quadruple the existing railway in the late 1990s, and today this major rebuilding programme is almost complete. We visited the area on 12th of July 2006, beginning here at Lineside, just to the west of the city of Linz. Like most mainline routes in Austria, the new Taurus class electrics dominate the motive power to be found. Local services are mainly in the hands of Class 1142 electrics. This is number 665. As can be seen, the line is bidirectionally signalled. Here DB's class 182010 heads west at just after 9 AM. Linz is home to a major steelworks, which receives and dispatches many trainload freight services each day. 151, 126 and 055 near the end of their run with this load of coal brought in from Germany. We now move to Linz Kleinmunken station, which is situated some 3 kilometres southeast of the main Linz station, and on the edge of the city's main freight yard. Here 1044043 heads a trainload of lorries on transit through the country. (1116-114) pauses with this eastbound freight in order to allow an express train to overtake on the main line. The majority of freight services using this route pass through the station. The only ones that are not are wagon load services scheduled to stop to attach or detach wagons in the main freight yard. In connection with track laying on the final sections of new line, 2067-028 departs with a trainload of new ballast, destined for one of the local work sites. (1044-023) comes into view whilst heading train IC 546, the 934 from Vienna to Salzburg. Around 12 kilometres east of the city near Aston St Florian, the new two-track formation is being built next to the old line. Here German 101047 passes by with train EC 63 from München to Budapest. As can be seen, the new track bed is first tarmacked, before ballast and then the track is placed on top. This is 1144271 on the 0650 from Bregenz to Vienna. During our 70-minute lunchtime stop, 17 trains were seen, including 7 freight services. Here 1116216 heads a train of box wagons. Linz-based Cargo Serve operates a number of trains along this route. Here, Taurus number EU 6402005 heads east with empty hoppers. "1044-044 scurries along in a westbound direction on the old main line. The completion of this new set of tracks means that the route between Linz and Vienna will be four-tracked throughout. This is 101-103. You can expect on average at least one, if not two, German locomotives to make an appearance each hour. The new fast lines are designed for speeds of 200 km per hour and will primarily be used by fast intercity expresses throughout the day, with freight being routed via the old line, although at night both lines will be used. Here in our final scene, Austrian 1116175 is passed by German classmate number 182025. Thalm is situated some 15 km north of Stuttgart, on the main lines to Karlsruhe and Mannheim. It is also part of the Stuttgart S-Bahn network, as well as the line north to Heilbronn. We visited the area in 2003, and it is a good opportunity to look back and see how much the motive power scene in Germany has changed over the 4 short years. Still to be found in the area today are Class 143 electrics. This is 143963 heading south towards Stuttgart. Freight services are normally in the hands of Class 140 electrics. Nowadays, more modern Class 185s are the normal motive power for such trains. Just south of the station, number 110256, heads this service for Mannheim on 15th of May 2003. Class 425 electric units were then new to the area, displacing the standard S-Bahn Class 420 units. Now consigned to history, a pair of Class 420s head north. Today, many of these services are now operated by new electric multiple units. Finishing off our taste of the past comes 143140, bringing up the rear of this northbound local stopping service. Also in May 2003, we stopped off briefly to view activity on the privately operated freight lines around Creutzwald, which were then operated by the company HBL. Ex-SNCF Class BB 62400 and similar Alstom locos being the principal motive power. Services are now operated by the company VFLI, which still uses these locos to serve a local power station and chemical works. The route between Namur and Liège is an important passenger and freight artery, linking the industrial south of the country around Mons-en-Charlois with the steelwork city of Liège and onwards into Germany. The line closely follows the valley of the River Meuse, hugging its banks and sharing space with roads and villages scattered along it. We visited the route on a number of occasions between 2005 and 2007 and present an overview of the trains and traction that can normally be seen running along it. We begin at Château de Sille on 30th September 2006, as French tri-voltage electric number 36017 is seen with a set of coal empties heading west. Arriving at Skleinu, around 10 kilometres east of Namur, is AM74 electric unit number 730 on a local service for Liège. Near to the village of Bize, on the eastern outskirts of Namur, The river valley forms a gorge, with steep cliffs which are popular with rock climbers and outdoor adventurers. The late evening can offer some excellent photographic opportunities. Unfortunately, the sun had gone behind a cloud when these two Class AM96 units passed each other. Returning once again to Château de Sille, number 7767 and 7760 head this container train for Namur. At Andon station on Thursday 20th of July 2006, AM80 number 316 is seen forming the 1237 from Lierre to Bruxelles. There are around 3 passenger services each way on this line every hour, with more during the peak periods. French BB-36,000s are common through here, working cross-border freights under motive power sharing arrangements. This is 36001, with EWS's Wembley to Grunberg European service. These AM73 type units usually work the hourly all-station stopping services. The same train is seen, except on a different day. This is 36021 on 2nd of July 2007, approaching the village of Givres. Following on behind is AM65 unit number 252 and AM62 number 174 on a working for Liège. In superb lighting conditions, electric number 2603 heads this westbound freight for Charleroi. The time was almost 1 o'clock. Right behind came 2633, which looked in ex-works condition, a surprise considering that this class was on the endangered list just a few years ago. A few kilometres east and 252 and 174 arrive at Bath station with a stopping service for Liège. AM96 units numbers 460 and 488 pass by in the other direction. Our final location on this line is here at Angers, just after a heavy thundershower, as refurbished AM78 unit number 741 approaches with the 1553 from Stade to Liège. Finally in this section, number 36021 is seen returning empty steel coil wagons west, probably bound for Dunkirk. The recent news of the withdrawal of number 11141 from the first production series represents the first casualty due to life expiry. We trawled through our archives and came up with this scene from May 2000 as the loco departs Alton Station with a train from Brugge to Basel. It is seen carrying the 1970s style Swiss Express livery applied to a number of coaches and also locomotives of this class. Our second shot of 11141 sees it passing through Burgdorf station on 5th of May 2003. Finally, as winter is almost upon us, what better way to greet the prospect of icy weather than to ride through a snowy landscape by train? In early March we travelled down from the town of Goschenen, situated on the famous Gotthard route, and on down around the famous loops at Wassen. We would like to thank you once again for watching this edition of European Railway. Look out for our special edition programme, due to be released soon.